All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So today, um, here's the thing. You guys were with me for economics. Well, now that the new grading period has changed, we are going back to government. Now, here's the thing. Because the school year is about to end, it's so close. Um, I have got to kind of refresh you guys on things on government. So that's what this is going to be really quickly, like the first, 2 weeks or so. It's going to be quick, short refreshers on government. Now, in class, you heard me talk about the outline for this, which is basically we're going to, again, go over little things, early stuff we did in the government class, but we're really going to be focusing on your rights as citizens, the amendments, Bill of Rights, things like that, the Constitution, and basically like go over that kind of stuff. Because again, you guys are about to graduate, you're about to join the rest of us, the adults, and so that means that you need to know your rights. And it's one of I told you guys from the very beginning, from day one, um, I strongly believe you guys should know your rights as citizens. So that's what a majority, the rest of the class year is going to be on. But first, before we get there, we have to start again from the beginning. And we've already talked about the stuff if you were with me last semester. So I'm just going to go through this really quick stuff. It's only, like I said, for the next week or two. Then we'll get to the meat of everything, which is the Constitution, the amendments, things like that. So here's your warm-up picture. Go ahead, break it down. The first question, I believe, says like, what are three or four things that you see in this picture? So go ahead, analyze it. Um, Tell me, what do you see? Okay. Be sure you write that down. Then there's a second question. Okay. Now, I've said this in class and I'll say it again one more time. If you have a computer or a laptop, um, I would suggest you put half your screen with this video and in the other half with your Google form so that when we get to the lecture part and we get to one of the questions, you can just type out your answer and you won't really have to stop the video, too much. You could just hear it and then do your thing and answer the question. Because again, you'll know what the question is because it's right there. If you're using your phone, it might be a little more difficult, so you may have to stop, pause, and then go back to the Google form and then write that out. Okay. So we are going to moving on to the notes in three, two, one. All right. So I told you guys we're going to go from the beginning, and like I said, we're going to the beginning. And one of the first things we're going to talk about is Aristotle. Okay. Now he was a Greek scholar, and he was one of the first true students of government, because quite literally, the man was sitting and thinking, why do we need government? What's the whole point of this? Do we actually need it? And he really thought about it and broke it down. What's the purpose? Okay. And basically, there's some vocab words that are essential that you guys really do need to know. First off, is state. Now, a state is a political community that occupies a definitive area. Uh, so it's a particular area and has organized government with the power to make laws and enforce it. So it's one thing to say you cannot drink water on Fridays from 5 to 8. Well, you can make that law all you want, but how are you going to enforce it? How are you going to make sure people are not drinking water on Fridays from 5 to 8? So that's another thing. It's one thing to create a law, it's another thing to enforce it. Okay. The other thing is nation. Now, nation is a sizable group of people who are united by a common bond, either by race, language, custom, traditions, and sometimes, not always, but sometimes religion. So these people have the same thing connecting them. Again, race, language, customs, tradition, or religion. Okay. Now, there's another type of one. It combines the two, and it's called a nation state. Now, these are state boundaries coincided with the cultural boundary of a particular group. So they're not part of it. They're kind of like, oh, we get you, compa, type of thing. Okay. Now, this picture right there, that is Socrates. Okay. Okay. So in theory, there are four types of governments, which is a old school type of governments. There was the evolutionary theory, which is basically the head of the government is head of the family. Okay. Basically, those were like tribes and clans back in the day. Basically, when there wasn't really a country per se, but there was different clans, different groups, you know. And usually this went with nomads, people who traveled from one area to another. Um, a lot of them use this evolutionary theory, best warrior, you know, things like that, or this family has been this is the oldest, so they're gonna rule, type of thing. Then there's the force theory. Now this is when the people in one area are forced is the key word, to follow one person or one group. How? Because they have power in one way or another. They intimidate. They've slaughtered, people. Who knows how they do it? But the thing is, it's either a person or a group of people who control everyone else. Okay, that's force theory. The divine right theory is one. This this is one that makes me laugh so much because these people truly believe without a doubt that their rulers were either a descendant from God or God chose them. Okay, so thing is, in just about almost every religion, God is infallible. God is cannot be wrong in any which way. So there are some people who were kings and queens and things like that who truly were told since they were little, God chose you, or you are related to God, right? And if you are related to God or God chose you, that means you cannot be wrong, right? Because God does not make mistakes. So if anything you do is basically told you're right, is there anything that makes you feel remorseful at all? Chances are no. So a lot of these kings and princes and things like that grew up thinking, I cannot be wrong. I am never wrong. And even if they are, it wasn't me, it was someone else. They messed up, and because they messed up, that's how it went wrong. It was the right choice, they did it wrong. Okay? Some people truly believe that, okay? That their leader was related to or chosen by God. Okay? The last one is called the social contract theory. This is basically where like no government exists, but people basically um, are full of freedoms, but they trade their freedoms for kind of order, security. Um, because again, if there was no government, is there anyone saying you cannot step out right now and go to another town? No, no one could stop you. Um, but the thing is if there was no government, no police and stuff like that, is there anybody gonna stop somebody if they try to kill you because you have something? No, no. Because again, you are bound with total freedom. But some people are like, well, that's just wrong. Well, yeah, but they have the right to do that. They have a right to kill that person and take what's theirs. We're all born free. So people got together and they basically said, okay, you know what? Let's take away that right to kill anybody we want. Let's get rid of that because that's just bad, you know. So that's how laws basically came about, you know. People basically getting together saying, yeah, let's trade in some of our freedoms for security, you know. And then you'll hear a lot about that nowadays. People saying, "Oh, especially things with how things are going on right now." People saying so like, "Oh, you're trading your freedom for security," in a sense, but it's one thing to give your freedom for a temporary security as opposed to giving it for just because you're scared and never getting it back. Okay, now that's something different. Okay. So there are, you just got to keep aware on that kind of stuff, all right? And we'll be talking about that later on more. Just all right. So here's your first question, which is which of the original theories of the states do you think would be the best one to live under? Do you think it would be best to live under the evolutionary, the force, the divine right, or the social contract? Okay. And there's a writing prompt right there. I think of all the original theory states, the best one to live under is, and now if you notice, I put the color with the color so you can see which where to put the words on. Okay. So evolutionary force, divine right, social contract, you put that under that little light blue area. And then the second, part of it, I chose this one because, and now you put your opinion. Okay. Why did you choose that one? Okay, so which one do you think would be the best one to live under? And then why did you choose that one? Okay, so be sure you write that down. If you haven't finished, go ahead and pause this video. If you have finished, good job. We're going to move on to the rest of the notes. So there were two guys who really looked at that contract theory. Um, the first one was Thomas Hobbes. He actually came up with it, and he believed that the people uh, would surrender their rights for, like I said, security by the state, by the government, and he believed that the people did not have the right to break that contract. Basically, like you said, you would give up this freedom for this security. You can't back out now. You gave your word, so you stick to it. Okay. Now, the other guy, John Locke, he was also a student of Thomas Hobbes, and he looked at the social contract, and he basically wrote that, yeah, you know what? Humans, we are born free. And he wrote this: we are naturally endowed with the right of life, liberty, and property. Okay, now does that sound familiar? It should, and just keep that in the back of your head. The right to life, liberty, and property. Okay, just like I said, keep that in the back of your head. Think of John Locke. In order to preserve their rights, he said, yes, the people have to willingly give their power to the authority. So they have to, the government can't take that right from them. The people have to voluntarily give the government that right. But against Hobbes, what Locke said was, if the government doesn't keep their word, let's say we give them power, we give them the power to do something, right? And we surrender a freedom for that. If they don't keep their end of the bargain, then we, the people, have a right to take back that freedom. Okay, so let's say a good example is back in 2001, there was this thing called the Patriot Act. One of the provisions of the Patriot Act was saying that if the government suspected you of being a terrorist, they can listen to your phone calls. And a lot of people were scared at that time and said, yes, yes, whatever, let's, do anything to get these terrorist people. So they signed away their right to that. Okay. Now, Locke would say if there was another terrorist attack and they attack and they did something, that we, the people, have a right to say, you know what, the rights we gave up for you to protect us from terrorist attacks and you didn't do it, we want that freedom back. That's what the difference is really between Locke and Hobbes. Hobbes says you cannot go against your word, you gave your freedom, that's it. Locke says no. If they don't pull their end of the bargain, we should get it back. Because what's the point of continually give our freedom to these guys if they can't fulfill what they promised? Okay. So going back to kind of like Aristotle and the whole thing of like, what is the purpose of government? Basically, in a nutshell, it's four things. One, to maintain social order. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, what's that mean? Maintain social order, like put laws and stuff? Yes, because guys, I don't know if you notice, but human beings, people, we have not figured out a way to live without conflict. All right? We need something that basically is established and something that says if you do this, this is the consequences for this action that you just did. And you know willingly that this is against the law. Even if you didn't, there's going to be some repercussions. Okay. Um, Now, I've had some students in the past tell me, excuse me, Mr. Martinez, that's not even right. People can live without conflict. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know how many students I've seen nearly fight each other just because one was just looking at another student. You're gonna fight somebody just because someone looked at you in the eyes. Yeah, you're gonna tell me we can go life without conflict. Yeah, no, no. So we have rules and laws that were created by groups of members of the government and structured through a court system that can help resolve the issues. And that's where we're going to get to the Constitution later on about amendments and laws and things like that. But basically, in a nutshell, that's what government does. Maintain order. You do something that's basically forbidden, or that the people and that government say that's wrong, you are going to pay the price if you're found guilty. Okay. The other thing, provide public service. Now, the government does things that the ordinary person needs, but they can't do or wouldn't do on their own. Okay. Because here's the thing, we all, in all our apartments or homes and things like that, we all have a toilet, right? We all have a restroom. If the piping is something happens between where your house is and the sewage line, um, are you gonna go there and clean it up and unclog it? Chances are no, you're not. Because you'd be like, one, can you do it? Yeah, sure you could, but the thing is, would you want to do it? Chances are the answer is gonna be no. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, um, then we have people in the government who will, as a job, that's what they'll do. Okay, they'll put up the electric wires, they'll do the sewer, dig the ditches, then put the sewer lines and things like that. If there's an issue with it, they can solve it. Okay. The other thing is like the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. Um, this is the job really you cannot do. You cannot go to every single place where they're making your food, whether it's canned or fresh or whatever. You can't go there into the facility and look and go, Okay, yeah, you're doing it well. Oh, did you clean your hands over there? Are you wearing gloves? You're wearing a safety net, things like that. No, no, you cannot do that. Okay, but they have somebody at these corporations, these factories, who make sure that the food that is being made and processed, that it's clean, that people are not like dropping food and putting it back inside the thing. No, they don't do that. You know, they make sure that your food is good. Okay, and if there's a problem, then they alert the public, or if they're fast enough, they can stop it at the facility, at the company that's making the stuff, and basically throw all that stuff out. Okay. Another thing is provide national security. They protect you from foreign people, uh, and also domestic. Okay, because again, not everybody who lives in a country loves their country. Some people don't like it or don't agree with how things are, and so how they are going to resolve it is by trying to hurt it, which usually means hurting their own citizens. You know, they also create war, conflicts, or sign treaties on your behalf. Because again, you yourself cannot be at the treaty signing. They're going to be talking about stuff that's way over your head. You don't know what's going on. So there are people who represent you who will be there to resolve the issue or the conflict, or if the issue arises, how to address it. Okay. Lastly, is make economic decisions. The government has to wisely decide on what and where to spend their money. Okay. Uh, Everyone is not going to be able to get what they want. That's a clear fact. But the government says, okay, you know what? These small businesses, they're hurting. Let's give them a tax break. You know, um, these large corporations, you know, they some of them might be hurting the environment. Let's, put a penalty on them, tax penalty. You know, that's what the government does. Okay, they look at the economy as a whole and say, where are things going bad? How can we fix it? If things are going good, how can we maintain it? Okay. Now, like I said, some jobs that you can and cannot do. This is one of the jobs a lot of you guys, even me, can't really do because I can't tell you what's going on in the economy right now as up to date because I'm teaching. I'm sure there's good stuff I know I hear and see in the news, but I don't know every single thing that's going on. There are so many different departments and things like that, and then they talk to people and then they talk to people and then they get to the government, you know. So that's what I mean, guys. There's some jobs that we can do, and there's some jobs we can't do. Some of them are just too big, and this is one of those things. All right, now here's the thing. There's generally two forms of government. One is a unitary, and the other one's a federal. The unitary is basically when all the power is given to one central or national government. So there's a picture right there. Um, there's like a multi-level government doesn't exist. It's basically here's this one power and this is it. If there's little branches, fine, but they're not going to have any real power. It's going to be the main force right in the middle. They are going to be the most powerful. The little branch off parts, they can tell, hey, we got an issue with this, but it's ultimately up to that central government to decide should we act or shouldn't we act. Okay. The federal system is the power of the government is distributed between national, state, and provinces. Um, so that's the kind of we have. Okay, we have the federal government, right? We got the president, the Congress, things like that. Then on the state level, we have governors, we have state representatives, things like that. And then we got local level. We got a mayor, we got city councilmen, things like that. Okay, so each there's a different level of government. Okay, Now, do we have to all listen to each other? Sometime. Okay, but again, we'll get to that later on. Okay. Oh, Confederacy. Almost forgot about that one. It's basically independent states that are loosely tied together. All right. They are not, in a sense, they don't necessarily have to be a country. They could just say, hey, we get along, we're cool, awesome. If one wants to break off, they can at any time. There's no, you know, nothing really legally keeping them together. Okay. All right. So then we come to a constitution. We, the United States, have a constitution, but constitutions basically have three main purposes. One is they set out the ideals that the people believe in and share. Okay, it's in the paperwork saying this is what our country believes in, right? And it's a reflection on the people and their beliefs. The second part, it establishes the basic structure of the government and defines basically this is what this group is doing, this is what this group is doing, and this is what this group is doing. Okay, so it's like kind of like a job description. When you go for a job, they tell you what duties you have. Same thing with the Constitution. It says this group is going to do this group is going to do that, and this group is going to do this, and here is where they're limited in power, or which is power what they have. And lastly, it provides the supreme laws of the country. This is laws that are going through every single state, county, whatever. No ands, if, or buts about it. No getting around it. Okay. Like I said, the United States have a constitution. Um, Other countries have constitutions, such as France, Kenya, India, Italy, and Switzerland. Right? They all have constitutions. A constitutional government is basically a constitution that has clearly recognized limits on the power of the government. So basically, the government cannot be all powerful. The government can't say, we own everything and you're going to listen to us. No, no, no. That's not what it says on these rules. And if you have a problem with that, Jack, we got an issue. Okay. All right. So here is your last question. Basically, first one is, who do you agree with more, Hobbes or Locke, and why? All right, so I agree more with Hobbes or Locke, okay? Because, and explain why. Now, this second question, this is one I'm kind of curious and I want to see what you guys think, but I put this disclaimer on there, okay? It says if you could add a law to our Constitution that had to be followed by everyone in our country, what law would you add and why did you add that law? Okay. Now, again, I am truly curious on what you guys think, but you have to remember this is a school assignment, okay? Meaning it has to be school appropriate, okay? So be sure what you're writing is school appropriate, okay? This is not, buddy buddy type of thing. This is class, okay? What you tell your buddies, what you like, oh, we should have a law about this, that's one thing. This assignment, this is school. Okay, so keep it school appropriate. Okay, so it's on recorded. I said it. So if some of you guys don't listen and you put something inappropriate, my hands are clean, child. My hands are clean. Okay, so there you go. Go ahead and answer that. Now, like I said, let me double check real quick. Yep, that's the end of this lesson. So hopefully, if you did not have me before last semester, hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully this kind of gets you a little bit more like, okay, I see where we're going here. If you have any question, guys, please, please, please message me. Let me know if there's a problem, there's something you don't understand, because chances are, maybe more than likely, it will be addressed in a future lesson. But just in case it doesn't, I can help you understand um, whatever you're having trouble understanding. Okay. So that's it. Okay. Hopefully, I pray, guys, that you guys are doing safe, that you guys, are doing well, things like that. Okay. Um, but I'll see you guys in class. You guys take care, be safe, and have fun, guys. All right. See you later.